Hello, I'm Dr. Christian Augustin with Bayside Chiropractic, Rehab, and Laser Therapy. And today we're going to talk about the feet and a little bit about the ankles. So we can all look down at our feet. You know, most people don't like their feet. I'm not a big fan of feet, at least the way they look. And they're pretty small, right, compared to the rest of your body. But they have a pretty important job, because you wouldn't get very far without your feet. So just some interesting stuff. The foot and ankle has 26 bones, 33 joints, and over 100, around 100 or slightly over muscles, ligaments, and tendons that either cross them or attach to them. So just to put that in perspective, those little feet have about a quarter of all the bones in your body in them. And there's a reason for that, because they have to do the most work in your body as far as load bearing and walking, jumping, athletics, and everything else. If we ignore our feet, the problem just starts spreading upwards. One good example is people always say, I have no arches, or I have really high arches, or my arches are real nice. Well, the bottom line is, it's not so much if your arch is high or low, it's if you have problems in your feet and one of your arches actually decreases, or what they call a fallen arch. That then causes the way your load, or the amount of weight that's distributed up from your feet changes. So then you can have knee problems, low back problems. You can even, if it goes on for too long, have shoulder problems that were initially caused by your feet. Now we have certain conditions that, are fairly common. One is plantar fasciitis. And that's basically the inflammation of your a covering, like a fibrous covering on the bottom of your feet. And it's really painful. And for the people that have had it before, you know what I'm talking about. You start walking on the sides of your feet. In the morning when you first stand up, feels like somebody's jabbing a knife in your foot. Is it a serious condition? No. Left untreated, though, it can be very disabling. You can't play sports. If you're a runner, you can't run. Even if you're just doing regular stuff like going shopping, you can't last for more than a couple of minutes before you got to sit down. So how do we treat it? Well, if your lining is inflamed, we have to find out why it's inflamed. And we also have to treat the inflammation. A lot of times, the midfoot, which is the middle part of your foot where your arch is, can sometimes, the best word for it is the bones there, your midfoot bones, can get stuck from either too much use or too little use. When that happens, your foot doesn't cushion you as much, and then the next thing is you have plantar fasciitis. Then a lot of people throw out heel spurs. Well, the plantar fascia usually connects into the front of the heel. If that doesn't get treated properly and you have a lot of tension, then what happens at the front of your heel is you start growing extra bone, hence heel spurs. A lot of people think the heel spurs are the problem. Usually the heel spurs aren't the problem. Heel spurs take a long time to develop, and even though you have them, it's usually not the heel spur causing the pain. It's the inflammations with the plantar fascia around the heel spur that's usually there before you even get the heel spur. So what can a chiropractor do for you? Well, we deal with joints a lot. And I'd say there's a lot of joints in your foot, 33. So what we make sure is that, first of all, that the joints are all functioning and moving right. Because if that's not happening, then you're not getting, your feet are made to function right. If they're not functioning right, then one of the first things you need to do is address that. Make sure everything's moving right. Then I use class 4 laser and some other therapies to decrease inflammation. And then we use something called kinesiotaping to help keep that area from getting inflamed in the future. What we try to do is prevent the use of too much cortisone. Now I know when you go to the foot doctor or something, if you've got really bad plantar fasciitis and it's killing you, they'll want to use cortisone to decrease the inflammation. And for the most part, I don't have a problem with that. But if you continuously going back, we got to find the underlying problem, because the cortisone does cause, a erosion of the joints, and it is pretty corrosive, and it's not the greatest thing for ligaments, joints, and bone. So you don't want to be doing that all the time. Initially, to get out of pain while you're getting treatment, okay, depending how bad your pain is, I would suggest you try something else first. If we need to, we take x-rays. If we think there's been an injury or you've broken a bone in your foot, there's 33 of them, 26 of them, so there is a chance you could break one. But for most people, I'd say the foot's pretty tough. It can take a lot of abuse. So it's not that easy to injure it. What else we can do is, if you really need you have a fallen arch or something's changed with your arch, then sometimes you need an orthotic. But usually the method I try to use is, let's address the joints, try to find the underlying cause, treat the inflammation to give you pain relief, and then if you require more things like orthotics or something like that, we can go to that. But again, if you have any questions, I wouldn't hesitate to call my office. I'd be more than happy to talk to you about it, see if I can help with your foot pain. And if you have unknown back pain and it keeps coming back, maybe it is coming from your feet. So my number is 251-990-8388. I hope this has been informative. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to call me. Again, my name is Dr. Augustin with Bayside Chiropractic Rehab and Laser Therapy. Thank you.